Hello there, it's Sarah from Paper Lovely. Thanks for joining me today. I have got a Christmas countdown tag flip to share with you, and this project was inspired by another one of Create Paper's videos. They did this last year for Valentine's Day, and I've sized mine slightly differently, but I am putting it together mostly the same way. So I have taken some chipboard here, and if you trim it the way that I did, you'll be able to get the whole project out of one 12 by 12 piece. So I'm first going to cut that down to 9 inches, and then I will trim that 9 by 12 inch piece into two 6 by 9 inch pieces, which will leave me with one 12 by 3 inch strip. And then I took that 3 inch strip and trimmed that down to 9 inches. So I'm going to put this together similarly to how I did the album cover for my December daily. And I've taken these chipboard pieces and I'm going to line them with my 1/4 inch score tape. I've got one of those die cuts with a view 11 by 17 pattern papers, and I chose a gray that was going to match with my collection the best. I am using the Pinkfresh Studio Home for the Holidays collection. I'm going to pull in just about everything that I have picked up with that collection. So I'm going to here go ahead and peel away the backing on my score tape, and then I will get this placed down in the center of my 11 by 17 paper. I'll get all 3 of these pressed into place, and I am just leaving a little gap in between my spine and the front and back here, just so that I'll be able to fold this easily. And once I have that pressed into place, I'm going to take my edges and just start folding those up around so that I can get that crease started. This is also going to give me my sort of X shape at the corner, so I know where to trim my edges off. And I didn't measure, I just trimmed and left somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch there. I will be able to trim that down later if my corners overlap, but I want to make sure I have enough so that when I place both edges down, my corners are going to meet. I'm going to outline this again with score tape, so I will do a line all the way around my chipboard here. I'm just going right across those creases or open pieces in the center. That's not going to hurt anything. And once I get this border all the way around there, I'm also going to add a border right along the edge of my pattern paper. Again, I'll do that on all 4 sides. And then I'm going to make sure that's down nice and tight. I'm just running one of my stamp blocks over that. I'll peel away the backing on the top here and just slowly fold that over. I do have this sped up to about 300% of normal time. So it looks fast, but I am going slower than it seems. And I'm just making sure I get that nice and tight and pressed into place. Once I have the top and bottom done, I will do the same to the sides. And that is going to be the base for our project. So this is going to score the opposite direction of how we do the album covers. This solid gray is actually going to be the inside of the sort of tent that we're making to hold the tags. So I'm just going to run my bone folder and create a score line there. And that's going to help this fold up nice and easy. So now I'm going to trim out my pattern paper. The green is going to be the base for the majority of this sort of tent that I'm making. And I'm trimming this down to 9 by 12. And then here I'm going to use my Crop-A-Dile, and I will get my hole punches in for the bookbinding ring that I'm going to place in here to hold all of the tags. So I went ahead and got my first one there, and then I took my pokey tool and ran that through and made a mark so I knew where to make the one on the other side. Sorry, that gets a little bit blurry there. I don't know what my camera was doing. But I am just getting both of these holes placed. And then I'm going to take my ring and make sure that that fits in there okay, and it does work. Now I need to get this tent placed together. So I'm going to use some painter's tape. This is going to be covered, so it doesn't matter about the color. I'm just going to keep that fairly close to the edge, not right along the edge, but fairly close. That way I can keep this nice and tight together. I'm going to need a second piece of pattern paper because in order to cover the bottom and both sides, I need longer than 12 inches. So I could have used one of the 11 by 17 papers and that would have worked, but I wanted to have the pretty patterns for Christmas on the front. So I have trimmed down what is going to be the back pocket section, and that measures 9 by 7 3/4. And then I'm going to score that at 1.5 inches and 5 1/4 inches. So you'll see mine is longer here. I was figuring this out as I was going along, but to save you the paper, you'll want to trim again to 9 by 7 3/4. And then your 2 score lines will be at 1.5 inches, and then you're going to fold that down so that your pocket edge has a nice clean edge. And then you'll score at 5 1/4. And that's going to be that bottom crease to fold over onto the bottom of the tent. And here I'm just going to trim off that excess. So that's what your piece should look like after you have that top portion folded down. For the front panel here, again, this is 9 by 12, and I'm going to score that at 10 inches. And then I will also score at 4 inches, 3 7/8, and 3 3/4. And that way, as I fold this over the top of that tent, it's going to give me a nice smooth edge, and I will have my creases already there. I'm covered for that, wherever that's going to hit right along that edge there. I am of course going to back this with score tape to make sure that it sticks down nice and tight. So I am starting out with the bottom section there. I added 3 stripes across. And then I'm going to add some score tape on either side of those 3 score lines and 1 here at the top. And then for the top 2 sections, I'm going to also add some along each of the sides. And then I'm going to section by section get this put into place. So I'm using that score line that I've created there. I'm just going to place that right along that bottom edge, and I will get the bottom section put in place. And then there, I'm going to peel away just a portion of the side here. I want to keep this as straight along the edge as I can, making sure that's nice and lined up. And once I get those in place, I'll peel away the rest of the backing and get that stuck down. I'll grab that piece in the middle here and press that in place. And I'm just putting my hand on the inside of the tent there and running my stamp block over top of that to make sure it's down nice and tight. I'll do the same thing going around the curve at the top here, just peeling away a portion of that score tape until I get that in place. And then I'll peel away the rest and press that down. Next, I'm going to add my pocket. I'll again go ahead and line this with my score tape. So this section, this rectangle here is going to be on the bottom of the tent. and then this will be coming up the side. So I'm going to do a double layer there just to give my pocket some extra strength. I'll press that along the opposite side, that bottom corner there. And then I'll peel away the sides and press that down to finish everything up. There you can see I've got my pocket. So this actually worked out quite well to have the pocket there. 25 tags is a lot of tags, and once you get that on the ring, it is almost a little top heavy. So you may want to, if you create this, keep maybe the first 12 or the last 12 in the back pocket and just put 12 on at a time so it's not quite so thick. I've taken my pokey tool there and I'm just running that through, pushing in those raw edges there to make sure that's nice and smooth. And then I'll go ahead and attach my binder ring. For each of my tags, I'm going to use these Advent cut-aparts from one of the 12 by 12 pattern papers. So I am going to trim out all of those individual squares. And then for my tags, I'm using the 6 by 6 pattern paper. So I have taken that, trimmed it first down to 5.5, and then I'm turning that and trimming it at 3 inches. So that'll give me 2 tags that measure 3 by 5.5 inches from each of the 6 by 6 pattern papers. Here I'm using my We Are Memory Keepers tag tool, and I have trimmed these on the F line. Go ahead and get my holes punched in, and I ended up doing my tags in sets of 5. I just pulled out the 5 number little cut aparts and matched 5 backgrounds with them, and then I moved forward from there. But before I get into the tags, I decided I should decorate up the front of my tent here. So I've pulled out some Nina and I've trimmed that down. I think I started with a 2-inch piece and then I just tore so I could get the snow effect that I wanted. And once I was happy with how that looked, I'm then pulling in some ephemera and I'm just going to create a little sort of city scene here. So I pulled in these houses and I'll pull in a tree and another house and then some sentiments to finish that off. So once you have flipped the final tag and it's Christmas Day, you'll still have a pretty scene that's visible there. So as we're approaching the end here, I have decided I'm going to split this video into two. I will go through and show you how I created all 25 tags. I'm going to speed that up a bit, but I will have that in the next video for you. And then I will have a final flip through of all of the tags at the end of that. So as soon as that has finished rendering and uploading, I will post that. You're going to get 2 videos today. But as I'm approaching the 20-minute mark here, I just didn't want to go too much longer. And then that way, as you're in the future maybe looking for the tags, you won't have to scroll all the way through. You'll get the creation of the actual tent and then the tags separately, and they'll be nice and easy to find for you. Here are a few close-ups of the finished project, or finished front of the project. In the description box below, you'll find my blog post, which has additional photos and links to the supplies I used. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a comment or a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.